Hi everyone, welcome back to Tech Education. This is part 2 of APIM. In part 1, we discussed what exactly APIM is, what problem it solves, what are the important components of APIM. Before watching this video, I recommend you to watch part 1 and the link is available in the description box. In this video, we will be creating APIM in Azure portal. We will configure APIs in APIM. Next, we'll discuss about the different pricing tiers of APIM. And finally, we'll check how do you secure APIs using APIM. And this security, we will give it via subscription keys. As part of the demo, we'll be simulating this payment processing service use case, which we discussed in the previous video. We will create two APIs. One is user, which will be used by internal users. Second API is payment. This will be used by external users for payment processing. And we will add these APIs in APIM. First one is we will deploy APIs in App Service. Second, we will create APIM in Azure. Third, we will add the APIs, whatever we created in step 1 into the APIM. Next, we will create a subscription key. This subscription key is supposed to be passed to access the APIs. Without the subscription keys, you will not be able to access the APIs. Finally, we will test these APIs via the Postman. These are the two APIs which I have created it. In case if you are not aware how do you deploy the APIs into the app service, there is a separate video which we have already created and the link is available in the description box. First one is internal payment processing. This APIs will be used only by the internal users. In this we have something called user controller. These are like simple methods where you can create the users, get users, delete users, etc. Next is external payment processing. This will be used by the external users for processing the payment. So if you see here, process payment, and you will pass this payment object. Next, get payments, etc. These are already deployed in the app services. Now, these are the Swagger.json files because for adding APIs into the APIM, I'll be using OpenAPI specifications. Let's create the APIM. I already have one APIM. This is listed it over here. As usual, the first step is like selecting the subscription. Mine is pay as you go, so which is selected by default. Second is the resource group. I would like to keep it as YouTube itself. Region, let's make it as South India. Resource name, demo APIM. Organization, tech education, administrator, now let's look at the pricing tiers. These are the different pricing tiers which we have it in APIM. We'll quickly look at the features. The first one is SLA, Service Level Agreement. For consumption plan, it is 99.95%. For developer, you don't have SLA because generally this developer pricing tier is used for development and testing purpose where you do lot of requests. So there SLA will not be really required. And for all the other consumption plans, it is same. Only for premium, it is different. In the premium, you have 99.99% SLA. Next is maximum number of scale out units. This is used if you want to scale out your APIM instance for scalability. Consumption, it's not applicable, whereas for developer, one instance you can scale out. Basic V2, 10, standard 4, and finally, if you see, as usual, the premium version will have 10 scale out instances per region. Next is monthly API request. How many API requests you can make it using APIM. In the consumption plan, 1 million is included. You can make 1 million requests. In the developer, it is not metered, meaning they will have a fixed price. They'll not track your request count. Basic is also same, and basic V2 has 10 millions, and even in premium, it is not metered. Next is cache. In consumption plan, you can cache only external requests. Suppose if your APM is making an external request and the response of that particular request, you can cache it. Internal requests, you will not be able to cache it. Whereas for other pricing tiers, you can cache, and the capacity is like 10 MB per unit. This 10 MB is for across all the requests. It's not for each request. And whereas in the premium, 5 GB per unit, which is very high. Next is developer portal. Consumption plan will not have developer portal option itself, whereas for all the other pricing tiers, it's available. Next, multiple custom domain names. So you can give custom domains when you're accessing this API gateway. In the consumption, it's not available. Even in basics, it's not available. It's available in the premium. If you see here, all the features are available in premium because it is the highest pricing tier. Next, virtual network. It's not supported in consumption. It's not supported in basic. In premium, it is available. Next, multi-region deployment is not available in consumption. It's available in premium. Next is self-hosted gateway. This is something really interesting. What it means is you can deploy the self-hosted gateway on your infrastructure. It could be on your on-premises, or it could be in your virtual machine, or even it could be in other cloud environments. Generally, this is useful for organizations with regulatory and compliance place. For the sake of demo, we'll be selecting that consumption plan. Next, there is an issue in basic. Okay, the resource name is existing. Okay. Virtual network not required. So the subscription is pay as you go. Resource group is YouTube. Resource name is demo APM1. Organization name tech education. This is the administrative email. This is important. The pricing tier is consumption. Let's go ahead and create this APIM. In the interest of saving time, I already created another APIM. If you notice here, the URL of the gateway service is suffixed with API.net. You can see here that this is a consumption plan, the pricing tier, all these details you can see it in the overview blade. Now let's add APIs. Go to the API section. Under APIs, you have something called APIs. You can add APIs using multiple ways. I'll be selecting Open API specifications. And for Open API specifications, I need this Swagger.json file, which I'll be adding it. Display name, by default, it has taken a API URL suffix. This is required for keeping APIs organized, and this makes easier for developers to understand the available endpoints. In short, this is useful for categorization. Suppose if you want to categorize APIs for each customer, you will be able to do it. Or if you want to categorize for internal users, internal APIs, external APIs separately. For the sake of demo, I'll categorize this as internal because internal payment processing. So these APIs will be used only by the internal users. And now the moment you add it, this API URL suffix will be added for the base URL. This is my base URL, take payment gateway service dot azure API .net internal. So let's go ahead and create this. Now add external APIs. This is the path of the external API Swagger.json file. And I want to make it as external. So if you see here, this is suffixed with the external. So when you're adding APIs into the APIM, configuring your policies, all these will be done in the data management plane. So this is for internal. So now another beauty of this Azure portal is you will be able to test these APIs in the portal itself. So I got the response. I can check it over here. Now let's invoke these APIs via the Postman. And before that, we need to do one setting change. See here, it is saying that subscription is required. So we need to pass a in payment gateway service in APIM. Under APIs, you have something called subscription products. Go to the subscriptions. In case if you are not aware what is a subscription and products, don't worry. I'll create a separate video in the future explaining these concepts in detail. For now, understand that to invoke your APIs, you need to pass a subscription key. Add subscription key. So you can add the subscription key over here, the display name of it. This is important, scope. So whether you wanted this subscription key is valid for all the APIs or is it applicable only for the specific APIs? Depending on the need, you will be able to select the corresponding option. I already created a key called text subscription key, which I'll be using it. Show or hide keys. Copy this. Now let's enable subscription key in the API. Go to internal payment processing, settings. Enable subscription key. This header name can be anything. So I would like to make it as tech education key. Save. Let's invoke the same endpoint and test it, whether this will give the results or not. Access denied due to missing subscription key. Now let's pass this subscription key. And the key name is tech education. We got the results. Thank you for watching. If you found this video, please consider liking it. And finally, don't forget to share and subscribe. See you in the next video. Till then, happy learning.